I'm David Esrati. Welcome, friends. And this is our online town hall. This is something you'll never see from Mike Turner, your current congressman, because he never has town halls. He never comes to meet with the public unless you've got a check for at least $500 to give him. Ohio 10. It is all of Montgomery County, all of Greene County, parts of Clark County. And the election is this November, November 8th, and you have two choices at this point, okay? So, I had an opportunity to be on an advertising podcast yesterday on Memorial Day, which is fitting because I'm a veteran and Mike Turner's a chicken hawk, but that's beside the point. So, what did we talk about? We talked about, well, there have been other ad men that have run for Congress. One of them ran in a very, very red state, and he was a Democrat. But we talked about strategy and why, first off, why the Dems just can't seem to convince people that Democrats, Republicans are really different. And, you know, it's kind of sad that the Democratic Party can't figure this out. So I'm going to try to make it real simple, especially since I haven't heard from the state Democratic Party. I haven't heard from the DCCC, who are supposed to get people elected to Congress. I'm their only choice here, and they've got better things to do. I didn't expect to hear from the Montgomery County Democratic Party because we all know that the Montgomery County Democratic Party runs in a back room and on the Friends and Family program. And by the way, if you've got any questions, I can see them right here, so you can go ahead and ask them, and we will have a discussion. I can answer your questions and go from there. And if you don't have a question, you're watching, I would just love to see you say hi so I know that there's somebody out there, okay? So, let's talk about the difference between Democrats and Republicans for the uninitiated or for the people who can't figure out the difference. And we're going to talk a little bit about why Donald Trump won. Because Donald Trump had a message. He was on brand. He basically said, government sucks and I'm going to fix it. And guess what? He hit a nerve because the best advertising out there is based on truth. Now, the first part of it, government sucks, yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of things wrong with our government and a lot of things that need fixing. But this whole myth about run government like a business is absolute horse hockey. And to think a businessman has any skills at all in terms of running a country, there are very few that can. Mike Bloomberg might be your best example of somebody who gets it or got it. But in general, most of them, no clue. Because businesses have to make a return on investment like right away. They can't do things long term. And for example, let me just point this out, that spending 12 times more or 8 times more than all the other countries on the planet on defense doesn't come back to your bottom line. And this is where Mike Turner just loves to spend your money. So Trump said, government sucks, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to run it like a business. And of course, he was going to run it like all his other businesses, which is corrupt and pay off and pay to play and all kinds of scams. So he failed at delivering the goods, and that's why he lost. There's some other reasons he lost, but for the Democrats, we keep having a problem. We can't explain what government does and how we're going to make it better. It's why when I'm running, I'm talking about some very specific things to make government better that will have real impact for voters. Like the insanity of having to pay somebody like ADP or Paychecks to do your, or Intuit to do your payroll taxes. Every other country in the world has figured out there is a way for the government to provide a website or a software as a service to do this and not charge their companies a vig on collecting taxes. It's just embarrassing. We eliminate that, we put money in the pockets of small business right away. It doesn't apply so much to big business because they already have armies of accountants that can do all this stuff in their software. They don't pay per employee. So this is something we can do to fix something very fundamentally, basically wrong with our country. Now, let's talk about some other things that differentiate this whole idea of Democrats and Republicans. You can say Republicans are the party of small government. Now, that hasn't proven at any time to be true, nor does it matter. I think it was Ambrose Bierce that once said, I don't mind paying taxes because it buys me civilization. So the question is, what kind of civilization do we want, and how do we want our country to be run? So, initiatives that government undertook that people can understand easily are we built an entire interstate system. Those big highways, I-75, I-70, we built those. We paid private contractors to do it, but we built them. And we weren't looking at how long is it going to take to pay back. We looked at the long-term benefits. We built airports all over. We've got some of the biggest airports in the world. Chicago, O'Hare, Hartsfield. I mean, these are big airports. LAX. And they serve all of us. What have we missed? We've missed rail. We just ignore rail. We have not done anything with rail. We don't even do a very good job at our one attempt at high-speed rail between New York and DC. We have the slowest high-speed rail in the civilized world, where I can go from London to Paris in a couple hours without having to go through security and all this other crap. I don't have to get squeezed into a tiny little seat. I don't have to get served by waitresses. I can walk leisurely to a beautiful dining facility or a bar and get whatever I want while I'm doing 200 miles an hour plus. That doesn't happen in this country. Why? The automotive manufacturers, who spend a lot of money on making sure everybody has a two-car garage and two cars, and we don't have public transit, and we don't have rail. We spend a lot of money trucking things. Trucks are really inefficient. And if you're a truck driver, this is nothing against you. This is an insane system, because we could put things on trains, like hundreds of trucks, semis worth on a train, and get it across the country with a lot less fuel, a lot faster, and a lot more efficiently than you can piddling along in your truck doing, at best, 75 miles an hour. We need to do this. And yes, quote, small government has decimated the safety net, Mary Sue, and thanks for watching. And I really appreciate you being here, because Mary Sue is one of the true activists in Dayton. I hope some other ones of you join in too. But if we started investing in rail, high-speed rail, real high-speed rail, things would change dramatically in this country. Our urban centers would stop sprawling. The density would go up. We'd have more room to grow food. We'd have people trying to get as close to those rail hubs as possible, because you can get places with comfortably faster, safer than you ever can in an airplane, and environmentally way, way less impact. So let's talk about the party of big government versus the party of no government, which is the Republicans. They like the idea of pushing it down to the states. That doesn't work either. They're just as corrupt. They're just as stupid as the federal government. We're just duplicating services here. The problem is we have too much government of the wrong kind. For instance, in Montgomery County, there's something like 30 jurisdictions, all with their own little elections and their own little fiefdoms. We don't need those. That's inefficient government. But you don't hear Republicans talking about reducing that. Why do we have 6 or 7 municipal court websites? You don't hear Republicans doing that. So the positioning that the Democrats need to take is, We are the party of good government. They're the party of no government. We're the party of good government, and look at processes and procedures to fix things. The idea of public education, for example, that is to make our workforce better, faster, stronger, more educated, and be able to deliver the goods. Stupid people don't make as much money as smart people. Make it real simple here. So if you subsidize making more doctors, more nurses, more astrophysicists, more chemists, more electrical engineers, you're going to come out ahead in the long run because one, they're going to pay more taxes. Two, they're going to put your country ahead of other countries. The problem is India has as many engineers with PhDs as we have people in this country. We have to be competitive. We have to start thinking about this as smart government for the long term, investing in our social capital. We put so many people in prison, we should be ashamed of it. Most of them are minorities. That doesn't make sense. But the costs that we carry for this law and order, this, we've got to be the country of, this is it. That's the only way to do it. This has to stop. We need to work at figuring out ways to actually solve our criminal justice problems. So, it's one of the major ones. Problem is, our jails, our prisons are really doubling as mental health facilities. And mental health facilities don't have the same needs and conditions that a prison does. We are keeping people in prison who need health care. All of us need health care. Your congressman has health care. Why don't you have health care? Does it make sense for the Republican Party that says government is bad? Does it make sense to turn over your health care to your employer? What happened to personal freedom there? Why can't you get and control your own health care, especially for small business? Small business can't compete with what big business can in terms of the healthcare markets. We can fix that real easy by having open enrollment for small businesses straight into the Medicare system. And as it is, our hospitals, about 50% of their income is from Medicare. And if they don't like those rates, stop paying your CEO $4 million a year and stop paying the insurance CEO $100 million a year. Spend that money instead on actually delivering health care. That's the message the Democrats are missing. When it came time for the Recovery Act that got so many small businesses through COVID, Mike Turner voted no. He said, I'm not going to help you. Same way he told diabetics, I'm not going to help you with affordable insulin. That is not in your best interest. Yet Mike Turner always has money for defense contractors. Why is that? That's because his money comes from defense contractors. Boeing, General Dynamics. It's just revolting when you take a look at where his money comes from. So, Republicans were, quote, for small government or no government. Democrats were for good government. Good government does things for you. Bad government does things to you. And if you need to see how bad it can get, just look at January 6th and see what happened when the Republicans were left on their own to try to make our government do what they want. We have a whole bunch of people in Congress who don't believe in free elections and our democratic process. We need to vote them out. We need to vote out the people who were afraid to go head-to-head with Donald Trump and impeach him. Not just once, but twice. They were impeachable offenses. Treason is treason, and it's not going to change. And I think the difference is because when you swear your oath to protect the Constitution as a congressman, you don't think about laying your life on the line. When you do that as a veteran, you do. That might be the biggest difference between me and Mike Turner. And with that, oh, I was going to talk one more thing. I was going to talk about advertising agencies that do the ads for Congress and advertising agencies that do the ads for everything else. The ones that do it for everything else have to abide by something called truth in advertising. That is important. In politics, So what they do is they go to political agencies and political consultants who come up with those crazy, mean attack ads, swift boating and all the rest of it. They're not talking about the issues. They're not talking about what makes a difference. They're talking about what's in it for them. And a lot of times, in fact, Mike Turner spends most of his money outside of the district hiring those political hacks. When I run for office, you're going to get a real ad agency, spends his money right here in Dayton, Ohio, and makes sure that the issues are covered, and so that you know the difference between Mike Turner and David Esrati when you go to vote. So, with that, thank you for watching, those of you who did, and thanks for the questions, Mary Sue. I hope more of you decide to check in the next day. We do this every day at 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday. I gotta warn you, we're gonna go this week, we're gonna go Monday and Tuesday. I get my shoulder operated on, so I'll be out for at least 3 to 4 days, and then we'll be back to it. I'll probably be wearing a sling. Thank you so much. Hope you learned something. I hope you share this with your friends and talk about the difference of a congressman that wants to communicate with you as opposed to one that just is in it for the money. Go to electesrati.com to learn more. Go to electesrati.com/donate to make a donation. And if you got any questions about any issues or anything I stand on, you can also go look at Esrati.com, which has all kinds of interesting information going back to 2005. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.